Hello, everybody. Dominic Mantuano from the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation. We are back with our next installment of podcast for October, and today we have a wonderful guest. Of course, all of our guests are wonderful, but today we have a founding father with us. That's right, somebody who's pretty much been there since the beginning. And I'm really excited to bring him to you today. And we got a lot of great information, so stick through all the way. And you guys are going to have a great day with us today. So today, I'd like to introduce to you one of the cornerstones of the CBCF, Mr. Bob Kepchar. How are you, young man?
Doing great, Dom. How are you?
Oh, now that you're here, I'm doing much better. The sun is shining.
You say that all the time. You know
I
that.
know I do, but the sun is shining. The birds are singing. My heart's pounding a little faster. You know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
Listen, Bob, you and I, this is going to be a great podcast because you and I have a very specific history here.
We do.
With the CBCF, but we'll get to that a little later on down the road. First question I'd like you to answer is, what is your history with the CBCF? Because, as I said to everybody, you are one of the founding fathers. So why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, so how I got involved, I was a firefighter in Westport, Connecticut for 39 years I put in. At the time, I was a fire inspector, and that was in 1986. And part of fire inspectors' jobs were Fire Prevention Week. And so the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation had a program called Theater on Wheels. Oh. And Theater on Wheels was basically a tractor-trailer truck with an animated show with Hootie the Owl. An animated Hootie Owl at the time was state-of-the-art. Today's terms, not state-of-the-art. So anyway, that came into Westport, and I got involved with that. I met Art Luff. A couple years later, they started the camp in 1991. 91. So I didn't attend the first camp, but he asked me about being a counselor at the second camp. I said, I'll try it out. So I went, and I was astounded. I mean, I was like blown away. So the first year I went was 92.
Okay.
And one of the other counselors, Cy Vergutlo, he and I started that year. And we are the longest running counselors to date who still go to camp. So wow. I'm in my 31st year, I believe. I only missed one, and that was this past year because I had shoulder surgery and I couldn't attend.
And let me tell you something, there's a lot of people who miss you.
I missed them too. So anyway, that first year, it was amazing. We had 24 kids, and we drew from all over the world. We had one young man from Iran who was in a car bombing and lost a lot of his facial features. He was there. 24 kids in all. So we weren't really counselors back then. We worked under the auspices of the Camp High Rock staff. And the Camp High Rock staff would give us the counselors. They'd give us the sessions we were going to do. They'd run the sessions, and we just facilitated. We helped out. That's how it was the first couple of years up there.
Great.
So and it was an amazing experience. I mean, these 24 kids, some of them were very severely burned. Some of them weren't, not so much. And you get to adjust yourself, your own perspective on how to look at these individuals and how to deal with them. Because it's hard to look at it first. I mean, it's like, we bring kids, like a lot of times when at the current camp, we'll bring them to Lake Compounds for the day, and people stare. Okay. And they just, they stare, and that's the way it is. It's human nature. We all did. But then for me, I mean, after that first year, I didn't see the scars anymore. I just saw kids wanting to have fun. I wanted to have fun, and I had a great time. So we stayed at Camp Bear Rock until 1997, right? From 91 to 97. Okay. Then we moved to where we are at Pomperog now. So all that time I had worked as a counselor, and my first several years at Pomperog, I worked as a counselor. I had an affinity for photography. I had my own business on the side, and so I started taking pictures. Right. And I became the camp photographer. Hence, they called me Babarazzi. And that name has stuck to this day. I have a golf cart. You'll see me zipping through. That's one of my fun things. I get to drive fast, which I like. And
trust me, I know.
I'm at every venue for every period of time that there's a class. Right. There's 4 or 5 going on because of the different groups. I'm in every one of those groups every hour. So I'm around that camp like this all day long.
And then at the end of the day, you're on your back like this.
Knocked out. Well, I have to edit at night. I have to edit my photos at night, so love it.
Well, let me ask you this, Bob. Now, we ask all our other guests the same question, but you're going to have a very unique answer for this because of who you are.
Where I see the most action and the most smiles is at the waterfront.
Yeah.
When the kids are in the water and they start playing, throwing the football, splashing each other, dumping buckets on their heads, that's when it all breaks loose. And that's where I get some of my best shots because, the kid will be dumping a big bucket in, I get the water flowing and the flash freezes it. And so that's probably my most favorite. I like the ropes, the high ropes, because I've seen some pretty amazing things there.
Right.
A lot of our children, have problems with their hands and feet. They may not have all their digits. And we have a climbing wall. We have a big cargo net. And to see these kids give every ounce of effort to get up these venues is amazing to watch.
And the pride in their
they
face.
stop, and I can't do it anymore. And we just egg them on. We say, you can do it. And that's probably one of my most favorite things to do is to encourage these kids to look past their limitations and accomplish something, because the look on their face, Dominic,
Right.
when they've done it is priceless.
Bob,
It's worth the whole camp.
and coming from you, it's something different. Like Steve also has as much time as you
Yes.
do. Lupinacci, Mr. Steve Lupinacci. But you coming across when you say it, it means something completely different to me, because look how excited you get just now sitting here with
Yeah.
me. And all those years, how excited you
It's
are.
real. I mean, it's real.
Real.
It's real. It's part of my life.
Absolutely wonderful. Now, Bob, you're retired from the fire department.
Yes.
Retired as deputy chief.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite story? I know now this is hard. I know after 31 years, but do you have a story that you could share with us?
There is one. There was a young man, and his name escapes me right now because it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he was paralyzed. And he was in a wheelchair from the waist down.
Okay.
And we brought him to the ropes course. And to think about a person who's in a wheelchair getting up on the high ropes and doing something, you never would think that, right?
No.
So he didn't want to do it at first. So the firefighters, our firefighters, and all firefighters are very, very creative and very astute at figuring out how to make things happen. Well, what they did, they rigged up this harness for this guy, this young man, and they hoisted him up all the way up 30 feet in the air, and he did the zip line.
Oh.
All through the woods. And the yell from his mouth was of pure joy. Ah, he did it. He was so proud of himself. And we were so proud of him. And it brought tears to my eyes to see this kid get it all, man. Just put it all out there and do something he never thought he could do.
So, Bob, you and I had an experience this year at camp with a camper who she was going up the cargo net.
Yes, I
and
remember.
I brought you up because, again, you couldn't attend because of your shoulder, but we got you up there for one day. And we came down to the ropes course, and as we did, we saw this camper halfway up freeze
Yes.
because of the situation.
Yes.
And they saw me, and they saw you and me in the cart, and they instantly said, maybe we need a little bit of Dominic inspiration. And I immediately realized when the situation was present, I jumped out of the cart, I ran to the net, and I started cheering her on. I started looking at her and absolutely telling her, there is nothing you can't do, and what you've accomplished already, I can't do. Before we knew it,
There was movement
she was at the top.
at the top.
She made it.
One rung at a time.
One rung
little-
at a time, and she
it's,
made
you know,
it. Well, because of you, you changed my life the first time you brought me as a guest.
I remember that day. You were ecstatic. You couldn't believe what you saw. He sang for the kids at lunchtime, and he didn't sing opera songs. He sang all the songs that they love to hear. And these kids were rocking and rolling, jumping on the tables, banging the forks, and he had them going, man. You fit right in from day one.
And because you were gracious enough to put two and two together, that's what started it. And I have to tell you that I will never be able to thank you for changing my life with these children.
You already have.
Never.
You already have. You know how you're doing it? You're doing it through working with these kids and doing what you're doing, Don.
Well, I'm looking.
That's how you pay back.
I'm looking up to people like you and Steve and Tom. I look up to you guys to make me better executive director, and I appreciate that very much. Listen, I want to ask you something. We have a lot of things coming up, but would you like to say something personally to these to our audience who are such special crusaders?
Listen, our experiences touched our lives. I'd like you to have the same experience. And you can do that in many ways. If you feel you can't be there in person to do stuff, please, consider writing a check to the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation Children's Burn Camp. Consider helping us, considering support us. If you want to be a counselor, fill out an application. We're taking new people all the time. Yes, we do have a lot of firefighters, a lot of medical people, but we have people who are burn survivors. We have people who just have regular jobs. We have an accountant.
Yeah.
And, he's been there several years. And he's doing great. And it's like, I just think that it's an opportunity for you to see your money grow right in front of your eyes, blossom in front of your eyes, and bless people beyond control.
Bob, I can't thank you enough. Today, you brought something to us, but I got something else to tell all of our listeners and happy watchers out there. Don't forget, guys, November 12th is our gala. That's right, our annual gala, and we have got some big surprises. We have got a night that you will not forget, a night of stars. We want you to come out, enjoy, dance, eat, have friendships, commiserate, do whatever you like, but this is the night to do it. Right here with us in Trumbull on November 12th. All you have to do is call this office. And when you do, we will make sure that you get a spot at our gala. So the number is 203-878-6744. Or, of course, you can reach us by www.ctburnfoundation.org. That's right. Reach out to us however you can, and we will make sure we reserve your spot for a night of stars, a night you will never forget, to support our burn survivors, to absolutely meet them and see exactly what we do. Bob, I can never thank you enough for everything you've done for me, and I personally thank God for our friendship, for everything that you've been, do, will do, continue to do. You are a founding father, and for that, we can never thank you enough.
Dominic, my job as we move forward is to mentor people to do exactly, to get the joy that I've gotten through all these years. That's what I'm going to be doing.
This has been Dominic Mantuano. This is the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation. We'll talk to you real soon.